Oh hi. Rousse, the fifth largest city of Bulgaria. The city is located on the right coast of Danube and is the biggest Bulgarian port on this river. In the 1st century AD, the Emperor Vespasian, the Roman strengthened settlement and pier were built here. Further, the fortress and Sexaginta priest port. Fortress was on the main road from Sinjadunum to the Danube Delta and the Black Sea. In 250 Gotha destroyed it, but at the end of the 3rd century Romans restored it. In the 4th century it was destroyed again. This time the barbaric Thracian tribes of Agetoma coming from the north. In the 9-10 centuries on ruins Bulgarians built fortress and called it Rousse. In the 13-14 centuries the city was also called Georgovo or Yorgovo in honor of Saint Georges the Victorious. After Ottoman gain in 1388, in the 15th century the settlement. During an era of an Ottoman yoke the received name Rousse becomes military and administrative and shopping center of the Ottoman Empire. Further here one of strategic Turkish fortresses was constructed and Rousse, together with Silistra, Varna and Shumla, formed so-called quadrangle of fortresses which separated the earth of the western and east Bulgaria and flanked the operational directions from Danube to the Balkans. During the Russian-Turkish War of 1806-1812 the Russian troops, after unsuccessful storm on July 22, 1810 and sieges in September 1810, forced the Turkish garrison of Fortress Rousse to capitulation. On June 22, 1811 and 4 came to the south of the city. There was a battle between the Russian army under command of the General M. 1. Kutuzov and the Turkish troops of Viewfinder Ahmet Pasha. The Russian troops of gunfire and counterattacks beat off the attacks of Turks and compelled them to withdrawal. In October 1811 around Slobodzi, to the northwest of Rousse, Kutuzov carried out an environment of the Turkish army. In 1836 Rousse became the center of the Danube Vilayet, stretching from Varna and Tulci to Sofia and Nish. Shipbuilding began to develop here. In the Vilayet there began the economic experiments, Midhat Pasha dreaming of modernization of the Ottoman Empire. In 1849 in Rousse the Consulate of Austria-Hungary, in 1853 Consulates of Russia, the British Empire, Italy and Prussia opened. In the Crimean War, on June 25. On July. In Rousse troops Omar Pasha. Over 30,000. Which forced Danube concentrated and, after fight with the small Russian group which was persistently defending the island Ramadan on Danube seized Djurdjev, having lost at the same time up to 5,000 askar. In 1864 in Rousse the first modern printing house in the Bulgarian lands was open. The seals of consulates of Belgium, Prussia and Austria-Hungary in Rousse. In 1864 in Rousse consulates of France, Belgium and Holland opened. Further in the city also consulates of Romania, Spain and Greece appeared. In 1865 Rousse streets, the first in Bulgaria, received names. In 1866 the Bulgaria's first cable line connected Varna and Rousse. In 1866-1867 the first in the Ottoman Empire railway line Rousse-Varna, that stimulated development of the city, was built. Soon here the repair railway depot traction was created. In 1870 in Rousse the exhibition of the local industry and agriculture is held, and there began work the first factory of alcoholic drinks to Piat. Economically developed Rousse became one of the largest centers of the Bulgarian revival. The Rusensky Revolutionary Committee worked here. Names: Women Tonki, Nikola Obretinov, the Angel Kinchev, Zachariah Stoyanova, Georgy Ikonomov, Ilarion Dragostinov, etc. are strong connected with this city. In the Russian-Turkish War of 1877-1878 the Bishop Clement Drumov saved the city of Rousse from destruction, and the Bulgarian population from slaughter. On February 20, 1878 the General Edward Tottelban exempted Rousse from an Ottoman yoke. Then the Bulgarian name Rousse was in the country recognized only and official. The Russian batteries from Rousse and Jersey armed with obsidianal tools interfered with the Turkish warships to rise up Danube. According to the Berlin Contract of Strengthening, Rousse were destroyed. At the beginning of August 1879 the Russian Empire transferred to Bulgaria the headquarters and watercrafts of the Russian Danube flotilla, and as a result, on August 12, 1879 in Rousse the Bulgarian Danube military flotilla was created. In January 1881 in the city the Sea School, which became the first technical educational institution in the country. The school worked here till 1900 when it was transferred to Varna. Was open. The trade value of the city increased since 1883 when it was closed by the Freeport in Galats. In 1903 in Rousse the powder mill, in 1904 the historical museum, in 1933 art gallery was constructed. During World War II between the Romanian station Germshu and the city of Rousse the ferry railway crossing through Danube. The self-propelled ferry, which had an opportunity to transport up to 16 two-axis cars for flight, worked. In 1948 in Rousse the large Vinadelny plant was created. In 1949 the opera theatre is open. In 1953 the plant of farm vehicles of G. Dimitrov was put into operation. In 1954 bridge, Friendship, through Danube, which connected transport network of Bulgaria and Romania, is built. By the beginning of 1955 of Rousse was already the large industrial center, the shipyard, the enterprises of agricultural mechanical engineering, the oil processing, textile, tanning, flour grinding and food industry, and also the large sugar plant worked here. In 1964 the first stage of Czech Rousse was put into operation. In 1967 the airfield is open. Nowadays the airport. In 1975 construction of Rousse East Port and a television center BB, which began work in 1987. After creation in 1977 the Directorate du Natrans was opened for the transport organization du Natrans in Rousse. In 1978 in Rousse the Pantheon of figures of the Bulgarian Renaissance and the House of Youth were constructed. Architect 5. Bochukova. In 1981 according to the Program of Production Cooperation Comecon in Rousse the enterprise for production of the non-standard equipment specializing in production of machines and mechanisms for mining industry, which became a part of a joint Romanian-Bulgarian industrial complex, was constructed. In 1982 the population of the city was 182,000 people. In 1987 the population of the city was people. Rousse was the important industrial center of shipbuilding, heavy and agricultural mechanical engineering, the oil processing, food and textile industry of Bulgaria. Population 2010 173,672. Political situation. Comet. Mayor of Rousse's community, Plamen Stolav. Initiative Committee. By results of elections to Government of Community. Historical Museum of the city. In the past, regional management, the first office building of Bulgaria. The geographical location of Rousse contributed to his economic development and growth of its political value. At the time of the Turkish dominion it was one of the large cities and formed strategic base on Danube. The city accepted the big Jewish community expelled from Spain at the end of the 15th century. After liberation of Bulgaria from the Turkish yoke and finding by the country of independence of Rousse remained the border city in the north of the country and the seaport through which other Pireneesky regions of Bulgaria were supplied. Then in Rousse many beautiful buildings, the majority of which remain up to now, were built. Today the city, which was located on hills first of all, is one of the biggest seaports of Bulgaria. The national structure of the population of the city is very various. Here the gypsy is a lot of. The architectural, historic and administrative center of the city is the main city square, and all downtown live, modern, with beautiful architectural constructions. Besides, within the city historical monuments are located. The wreck of the ancient fortress of Sexagint, constructed by Romans in the 1st century AD and destroyed by Gats in the 7th century. Here tombstones and other inscriptions remained. In the Youth Park, in 50 m from Church of the Dormition of the Theotokos in 1837 in honor of visit of the city by the Sultan Mahmud, the marble column, an imperial stone, is established. Sarav. Profitable building. Dokadnotoli building. The big theatrical building of times of the Bulgarian Renaissance, built in style of neoclassicism and Baroque. St. Paul's Cathedral of the Cross, the Catholic temple built in 1890-1892 in neo-Gothic style on the project of the Italian architect Valentino dell'Antonio. The monument to freedom of work of the Italian sculptor Arnoldo Zoppi of the beginning of the 20th century is in the downtown. Pientacopia Bridge. Costs in the south from the downtown. The bridge, all this that remained from the Turkish fortress which was near the modern railway station. In the neighborhood of Rousse the national park Rusensky Lom is located. This park, stretching for 30 to 60 hectares, is located in 20 km to the south from the city. The reserve park held rare birds. It is possible to watch them and also to visit the caves formed as a result of an environment. In the same park there are monasteries. Every year in September exhibitions of so-called natural art will be organized. The National Transport Museum is located at the first railway station of Bulgaria, discovered in 1866. Rousse, the biggest city, the industrial center and the port of Bulgaria on Danube. Near Rousse is located the big two-story bridge. Length of 2800 m. Through Danube, constructed in 1952-1954 by means of the Hussar. These are the main overland gate for transportation of goods and passengers between Bulgaria and Romania and between Bulgaria and Russia. On development of mechanical engineering, agricultural, shipbuilding, electronics and instrument making, the heavy equipment. Rousse stands on an equal basis with Plovdiv and concedes only to Sofia. There are enterprises of chemical, textile and especially food and flavoring industry. Rousse, the center of the area with the developed wine growing and beet breeding. In the city there is a developed network of various supermarkets. Hofland Bill, Subway, Technopolis, Technomarket Europe, Mosu Bricolage, Praktiker. 6 Pier. Mall. Supermarkets and modern financial center are under construction. Rousse is the important cultural center, the opera theater, drama theater, the historical museum and art gallery work here. Also in the city there are Irasensky University and Training Center of Training of Drivers of Automotive Vehicles of Armed Forces of Bulgaria. International relationship. Consulates. Russia Consulate General. Ukraine Honorable Consulate. Twin Cities. Russia Volgograd, Russia. 2001. Russia Simferopol. Romania Germsru, Romania. Greece Presterian, Greece. France Saint-Ouen. Saint-Denis. France. China Huainan, China. Famous natives and inhabitants. Atanas Kosev is a composer. Quickly Nedelchev is pop singer, the composer. 24.04. 1965. Boris Chakarev is a composer. Vasil Kazanziev is a composer, the conductor, the academician. Venelina Vaneva is an athlete. Violetta Shakhanova is an opera and chamber singer. Leon Nedelchev is pop singer, the composer. Iskran Petsov is a singer, the composer. Itzhak. Isak. Graziani. Zico. 4, 8.19247, 7.2003. The conductor, the composer, the arranger, the chief conductor of Orchestra of Armed Forces of Israel. Yosef Tsankov. 1911-1971. Is a musician, the composer. Fireplace Donov is an actor, the director, the playwright and the choreographer. 1971. Konstantin Evtimov is a cellist, the leader of Symphonic Orchestra of Nieberb. 1975. Leon Daniel is a theatrical director. 1927-2008. Archos Svetoslav is the Bulgarian lawyer, the political figure. Mimi of Balkansk. 1902-1984. The actress of the opera and operetta. Ninkev, Fedor Nikolaevich is the Bulgarian teacher and the educator of the 19th century. Mirzoyan Manik Bey. 1769-1817. The statesman of the Ottoman Empire. Mikhail Arnadov is an academician. Natalina, the pop folk and the national singer. Neshka Rabieva is a trainer, I am 10. Gymnastics. Orlan Anastasov is an opera singer. 1976. Petr Parchato is jazz musician. Vladimir Polyanov, 1899-1988. Is a writer, the director, the theatrical figure. Gordieva, the pop singer, the teacher is too rated. 24.1954. Sylvia Mateva is a gymnast. Stefan Senev is a writer and a poet. Sunay Chalikov is pop singer. Topalev, Veselin Alexandrov is the Bulgarian chess player, the world champion according to FIDE. 2005. Fakri Pasha, the Turkish military leader, the commandant of Medina. Elias Canetti is a writer, the Nobel Prize laureate on literature. Initsa is pop folk, the singer. Also far. Write comments. Read comments. Interesting people will tell interesting stories. All of good mood and good luck.